Have you ever had this experience? You've been studying English for months, maybe years, and one day someone asks you to say something, anything, just one sentence, and your mouth opens and nothing comes out. Not because you're nervous, not because you don't know the words, but because something inside you just isn't ready yet. And you don't know why, and nobody ever explained it to you, so you assumed the worst. You assumed the problem was you. What if it wasn't? Welcome to Fluency with Vivi. I'm Vivi, and today we're going to talk about something that every English learner goes through, and almost nobody talks about. Something that has a name, something that is completely normal, something that might explain why you've been feeling stuck, when in reality something important was happening inside you the whole time.
Hey everyone, I'm Robert, and I want to say before we start, if you have ever felt like you understand a lot more English than you can actually speak, this episode is going to feel like someone finally put words to something you've been experiencing for a long time.
Okay. Before we get into the science, I need to tell you about a very specific, very embarrassing Tuesday afternoon.
I love Tuesday afternoons.
This was not a good one. So I had been studying English seriously for about 8 months at this point. 8 months of watching shows, listening to podcasts, reading everything I could find in English. And I genuinely felt like I was improving. I could understand so much more. Songs made sense, conversations in movies. I could follow them without reading the subtitles. It felt like progress.
That sounds like real progress.
It was real progress. But then, a co-worker who knew I'd been studying English introduced me to a foreign colleague at a work event. And this colleague looked at me and said, very warmly, very casually, "Oh, Vivi, I heard you're learning English. Say something."
Oh no.
Vivi, say something, just like that, in front of 3 people, on the spot. No warning, no preparation, just say something.
And what happened?
I smiled, the smile of someone whose brain has completely left the building. And I said, "And I want you to understand I had been studying English for 8 months. I said, I am good."
Ha.
3 words. I am good. And even those 3 words came out like I was reading them off a wall one by one with enormous concentration. And this colleague, very kindly, said, "Oh, great," and moved on. And I stood there feeling like 8 months of work had produced 3 words and one very painful smile.
But here's the thing, and this is what today is really about.
What was actually happening in that moment?
Something completely normal, something that every single language learner goes through, something that has a name in the science of language acquisition,
Tell me the name.
the silent period.
The silent period. Say more.
So the silent period is a concept from linguistics, from the study of how people acquire language, and what it describes is this: there is a natural phase in every language learner's journey where your comprehension is far ahead of your production. You understand much more than you can say, you absorb much more than you can express, and your brain, during this period, is doing something incredibly important. It's building the internal architecture of the language, the wiring, the patterns, the deep structural understanding that eventually allows fluency to emerge.
So it's not a failure state, it's a building state.
It's a building state. And here's the beautiful parallel. Babies go through this too. A baby spends months doing nothing but listening, hearing words, hearing sentences, hearing the rhythm and music of language. They say almost nothing for a long time. And then one day, they speak. And when they do, it comes with this incredible base already built underneath.
They didn't skip the silent phase, they lived through it completely.
And it made everything that came after possible.
Okay, I want to stay with this for a moment because I think it's going to hit people in a specific way. Because I spent a lot of time during my silent period thinking I was failing. I was absorbing so much and feeling like I had nothing to show for it, like I was doing something wrong, like other people were somehow progressing and I was just stuck.
And that feeling, the feeling of being stuck when you're actually building, is one of the cruelest parts of the silent period.
Because you can't see what's happening.
You can't. The construction is underground. The foundation is being laid. But from the surface, it just looks like nothing is moving.
And then someone asks you to say something, and you say, "I am good." and you want to disappear.
And you interpret that as proof that you're not progressing, when actually, it's proof that you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Exactly where you're supposed to be. Okay, that's the revelation sentence. Write that down. If you're in the silent period right now, you are exactly where you're supposed to be.
Not behind, not broken, not without talent. In the exact stage that language acquisition requires.
Okay, I want to make this even more specific because I think people have micro moments with the silent period that they've never named before, and naming something changes your relationship with it. Robert, walk me through what the silent period actually looks and feels like day to day.
Great. So here are the specific experiences. First, you're watching a show in English and you suddenly realize you understood a whole scene without reading the subtitles, and you feel great for about 5 seconds.
And then someone asks you what the show is about and you can't explain it in English.
Exactly. You understood every word. But producing those words back, completely different skill, completely different part of the brain.
I had this exact experience. I could watch an entire episode of a show, understand 90% of it. And then if someone asked me in English, "So what happened?" I would freeze completely. Because understanding incoming language and producing outgoing language are two separate abilities. And during the silent period, one is ahead of the other.
Comprehension always develops first. Production comes after. And that gap, that uncomfortable gap between understanding and speaking, that's not a problem. That's the normal sequence.
Second micro moment,
You're in a conversation in English and someone says something. You understand it. You know what you want to say back. But by the time your brain finishes assembling the sentence, the conversation has moved on.
the 3-second delay. This one haunted me. Someone would say something and I would understand it, and I would have a response. But my mouth and my brain were not synced yet. And in those 3 seconds, someone else answered, or the topic changed, or the moment just evaporated.
And you never said the thing you wanted to say. And you left the conversation feeling invisible.
Invisible, yes, like you were physically present but conversationally absent. And nobody around you knew that there was a full sentence sitting inside you that never made it out.
This is the silent period showing up in real time. Your brain is working. The language is there. But the production pathway, the speaking reflex, hasn't been trained enough yet to keep pace with your comprehension.
Third micro moment,
You go to say something in English, a simple sentence, something you've heard 100 times, and mid-sentence, one word disappears. Not a hard word, not an obscure vocabulary item, something basic. And you stand there, internally panicking, searching for a word you absolutely know.
oh, this one. I once forgot the word kitchen in the middle of a sentence. Kitchen. I had used that word maybe 10,000 times. And it just vanished. And I stood there saying, I was in the room where you cook. The room where you cook.
Ha!
It comes back immediately the moment the pressure is gone. The word was there the whole time. But under the pressure of real-time production, the retrieval system wasn't trained yet.
And this is exactly what the silent period is quietly building. Every hour you spend listening to English, watching English, reading English, your brain is training the retrieval system, building faster and faster access to the language that's already in there.
So the silent period is actually doing the work, even when it doesn't feel like it.
Especially when it doesn't feel like it.
Okay, strategies. Because I don't want people to walk away from this episode just feeling validated. I want them to feel equipped. What do you actually do during the silent period? How do you move through it well? Strategy 1.
Strategy 1, honor it. Don't rush it. This is the most important one. The biggest mistake people make during the silent period is trying to skip it, forcing themselves to speak before they're ready. Signing up for speaking classes on day 1. Pressuring themselves to perform before the foundation is built.
And what happens when you force the speaking before the foundation is ready?
2 things. First, the speaking is frustrating because the brain isn't ready to produce fluently, which creates the feeling that you can't speak, which creates shame, which creates avoidance, which makes the whole journey harder.
And second,
Second, You spend energy on performance when you should be spending it on input. Every hour you spend anxiously trying to force sentences out before you're ready is an hour you could have spent absorbing more language, which would have built the foundation faster.
So forcing it actually slows it down.
Trying to skip the silent period extends the silent period.
That is such an uncomfortable truth. Strategy 2.
Strategy 2. Feed the construction. During the silent period, your job is input. Massive, consistent, enjoyable input. And the key word there is enjoyable. Because enjoyable input is input you actually keep doing. Content in English that you genuinely want to consume. Not content you're forcing yourself through because you think you should.
This is the part that changed everything for me, because for a long time I was treating English like medicine, something I had to consume even though I didn't like it. And the moment I started watching shows I actually loved, in English, everything accelerated. Not because the shows were better for learning, but because I was actually doing it, consistently, for hours, because I wanted to.
Your brain can't tell the difference between I'm studying English and I'm watching something I love that happens to be in English. But you can. And that difference determines whether you do it for 20 minutes twice a week or 3 hours every single day.
3 hours of something you love versus 20 reluctant minutes of something you don't. The math of acquisition is obvious.
And this is strategy 2. During the silent period, find the English content you actually love. Commit to it. Let the language wash over you. You don't have to study it. You just have to be there, in it, consistently.
Strategy 3. Speak without stakes.
This one is important, because the silent period doesn't mean you never make any sounds in English. It means you don't put yourself under performance pressure before you're ready. There's a difference between performing in English and playing with English.
Playing, yes. Tell me more.
Playing with English means speaking without an audience, narrating your life in English when you're alone, talking to your coffee cup in English in the morning, describing what you're doing while you cook, repeating lines from shows you loved, not to learn them just because they feel good to say.
I used to walk around my apartment giving commentary on my own life in English, like I was the host of a documentary about my own boring Tuesday. She is now approaching the refrigerator. She opens it slowly. There is nothing interesting inside. She is disappointed but not surprised.
Ha! And that is speaking without stakes. No audience, no judgment, no pressure to be correct. Just training the muscles, training the mouth, training the retrieval, so that when the real moment comes, the conversation with the real person, the pathway is already worn in.
Like a path through the grass. The more you walk it, even alone, the clearer it becomes for everyone.
The path is there when you need it. Strategy 3. Speak without stakes. Play in English before you perform in English.
Okay, I want to close with something personal, because I think there's someone listening right now who has been feeling guilty. Not just stuck, guilty, like they've been wasting time, like all those hours of watching shows in English, listening to podcasts in English, absorbing without producing, were somehow lazy, were not real studying.
I know that person.
I was that person. For a long time I felt like I was cheating, like real studying meant suffering over grammar books, and everything that felt natural and enjoyable was somehow not counting, not serious enough.
And the truth is the opposite.
The truth is completely the opposite. Those hours of absorption, those quiet, apparently unproductive hours, those are the hours that built everything that came after. The hours that were building the foundation I couldn't see, the construction that was underground.
And I want to say something to anyone who is in that frustrating gap right now. The gap between how much you understand and how much you can say. That gap is not a sign that something is wrong. That gap is a sign that you are doing it, that your comprehension is growing, that the language is taking root, that the silent period is working exactly as it is supposed to work.
You are not behind, you are building.
You are not broken, you are becoming.
And one day, maybe soon, maybe gradually, maybe in one surprising moment, you'll open your mouth, and more than 3 words will come out, and you'll hear yourself speaking, and you'll think, oh, there it is. There's the language that was always in there.
It was always in there.
It was always in there, waiting for the foundation to be ready. Okay, your challenge this week. I want you to give yourself permission to be in the silent period without guilt. 1 week, just one. This week, don't pressure yourself to speak more than feels natural. Instead, focus on input. Find one piece of English content that you genuinely love, a show, a podcast, a YouTube channel, anything, and spend time with it, not studying it, enjoying it. And then come tell us in the comments, in English, in one sentence, however imperfect, what you chose. What's the thing you're going to consume in English this week? Leave it below. We read every single one. And if this episode finally put a name to something you've been experiencing, please hit the like button. It helps more people find us. And subscribe so you don't miss next week. I'm Vivi.
And I'm Robert.
This is Fluency with Vivi. Be patient with the silence. The language is building. See you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.